Hello all, hope you're doing well today. Today we are discussing an essential aspect of facility and event management in sports, and that's safety and security. Here we go. So our objectives in this chapter are really to be able to explain the differences between safety and security and also understand the liabilities that you as a sport facility manager may face. While these terms are often used interchangeably, they are closely related but distinct concepts. Safety refers to an environment where individuals feel comfortable moving freely without fear of harm. It is about ensuring that people can engage in activities without worrying about potential risks of hazards. On the other hand, security encompasses both the physical and psychological condition of an individual, ensuring they feel safe and free from danger, alarm, or suspicion. In a sports facility or event setting, maintaining both safety and security is crucial for ensuring a positive experience for athletes, spectators, and staff. This involves risk assessments, emergency planning, crowd control measures, and adequate security personnel. Understanding and implementing effective safety and security measures not only enhances the overall experience, but also protects individuals from potential threats or dangers. Safety and security are both critical, but they serve different purposes. First, safety deals with the design aspects of a facility. It involves the structural considerations, emergency exits, proper signage, and hazard prevention. Essentially, a facility is built and maintained to reduce risks of accidental harm. On the other hand, security focuses on proactive measures taken to prevent and respond to danger. This includes your security personnel, your surveillance systems, crowd control, and your emergency response plans. A key distinction is that safety aims to prevent accidental harm, such as slips, falls, or structural failures, while security focuses on preventing malicious harm, such as theft, violence, or unauthorized access. Both elements work together to ensure a safe and secure environment for athletes, staff, and spectators. Without proper safety and security measures, the risks to individuals and the success of an event can increase significantly. Facility managers play a crucial role in protecting both people and property. Their responsibilities align with the guidelines set by the Department of Homeland Security to maintain a secure and well-prepared environment. Access control is the first line of defense. Managers must regulate entry using keys, passcodes, and security systems. For the Dugan Wellness Center, this is the front line where you have to go and you have to swipe your card to get in. Critical items such as floor plans, keys, and personnel lists must be properly distributed to key staff members for efficient operations. Security coordination is essential, so your facility managers work closely with security teams to maintain physical safety at the venue. Emergency action plans, or EAPs, must be in place, including clear evacuation instructions, especially for individuals with special needs or disabilities. And crisis kits are vital. These include essential tools like radios, staff rosters, emergency contacts, first aid supplies, flashlights to handle emergency effectively. Floor plans should be placed near key entry and exit points to assist emergency responders in navigating the facility. And finally, in the event of an emergency, activating the emergency notification system. This ensures a rapid response to protect everyone on site. For our campus, that number is 4444. And basically what that does is it will send, you'll be talking with the police dispatcher and let them know about the emergency. By executing these responsibilities efficiently, facility managers enhance security, reduce risks, and ensure a smooth, safe experience for athletes, staff, and spectators. An emergency situation is an incident, situation, or occurrence that could affect the safety and security of occupants, damage the facility equipment or its contents, and disrupt normal activities within the facility. No matter the severity, every emergency requires a managed response process to minimize harm and restore order efficiently. The role of the Emergency Action Plan, or EAP, is essential for assuring a structured response in critical situations. This includes clear communication protocols to inform staff, athletes, and spectators, and evacuation procedures for guiding occupants to safety, and a medical emergency response, ensuring first aid is available and emergency services are contacted. And also as security coordination with law enforcement and emergency responders, as well as having crisis kits and equipment readiness to handle various emergency scenarios, and regular training and drills to keep staff prepared for real-life emergencies. By having a well-structured EAP, facility managers can reduce risks, protect lives, and ensure the quick recovery of normal operations after an accident. An EAP is an integrated plan that outlines the specific steps and actions to be taken by the facility staff and public safety agencies in response to emergencies. The objective is to minimize or eliminate harm to occupants, including athletes, spectators, and staff, and prevent or reduce damage to the facility, equipment, and its contents. You also want to ensure a coordinated response between facility management and emergency responders. So again, key components of an EAP are identification of potential emergencies, clear chain of command, emergency contact information, evacuation procedures, a communication plan, and emergency equipment and crisis kits, and training and drills. So a well-documented and practiced EAP can make the difference between a controlled response and chaos during an emergency. An EAP is crucial for, again, ensuring safety, preparedness, and effective response during emergency situations in sports facilities. It's not a matter of if something is going to happen, it's a matter of when and how you respond to that situation. Key reasons for having an EAP are it reduces damage and loss. Good planning, proper staff training, and timely execution can significantly reduce potential harm to occupants and minimize property damage. It ensures a safe and secure environment, meeting professional standards and expectations for providing a safe and non-threatening space for athletes, staff, and spectators. It protects community assets and ensures business continuity, and reduces legal liability. A well-developed and enforced EAP helps mitigate legal risk for facility management, staff, and ownership. It ensures compliance with safety regulations and reduces the chances of lawsuits, and minimizes negative media exposure. A poorly handled emergency can lead to bad publicity, damaging the facility's reputation. So a well-executed EAP demonstrates preparedness, fostering public trust. And it enhances communication and coordination. You're strengthening collaboration with public safety agencies like fire, police, and medical personnel, and ensures effective real-time communication between facility staff. And even beyond that, on our campus, that would be Dugan Wellness Center facility staff, but also coordinating with UPD and other entities on campus. We have a safety committee that they work together to ensure the safety of campus occupants. So a proactive and well-maintained EAP is essential for ensuring safety, reducing liability, and protecting reputation, and enhancing emergency response effectiveness. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, mandates that workplaces, including sports facilities, have an emergency action plan that includes procedures for various emergency scenarios. So here are some key OSHA required procedures. Number one, reporting a fire or other emergency. You need clear reporting procedures in place, such as using alarms or PA systems or emergency contact numbers. Employees should be trained on how to quickly notify fire departments, security, and facility management. Reporting methods should be accessible to all employees, including those with disabilities. You should also have emergency evacuation procedures. They must be clearly defined. Full facility evacuation, a partial evacuation, or a shelter in place. And exit routes should be well marked, unobstructed, and communicated to employees and visitors. Oftentimes, exits will be in a corner, and in a fitness facility primarily, we have a tendency, we put things in those corners, and you have to be very careful that people have a means to get out if there is an emergency. Evacuation drills should be conducted regularly to ensure staff and patrons are familiar with the process, and employees remaining to operate critical facility operations. So certain employees may need to shut down essential operations before evacuating, such as securing hazardous materials or turning off utilities. These employees must have clear responsibilities and safe exit routes. Procedures should ensure their safety is prioritized with a clear evacuation deadline. And you want to account for all employees after evacuation. So designate assembly points that should be established away from danger zones. A roll call system, manual or digital, should be used to ensure all employees have evacuated safely. Supervisors or team leaders should be responsible for reporting missing employees to emergency responders. And employees performing rescue or medical duties. Staff trained in CPR, first aid, or rescue procedures should have clearly defined roles. Emergency medical supplies like first aid kits and defibrillators should be easily accessible. And coordination with local emergency responders, EMS, and paramedics should be pre-established. Some additional OSHA considerations are communication systems like alarms, radios, PA systems need to be tested regularly. And training and drills should be conducted periodically to keep employees prepared. Special accommodations should be made for employees with disabilities or special needs. A well-structured emergency action plan is crucial to ensuring safety in sports facilities. Here are some key components of an effective EAP. A preferred method for reporting fires and other emergencies. So clearly defined reporting procedures, fire alarms, PA systems, emergency hotlines. Staff should be trained to immediately report emergencies to the appropriate authorities, and recommended to use multiple communication methods like radios, text alerts, and emergency apps. Have an evacuation policy and procedure with clear guidelines on how, when, and how to evacuate the facility, with defined roles and responsibilities for staff to assist with safe evacuations, and procedures for assisting individuals with disabilities or special needs. You should also know the emergency escape procedures and route assignments, floor plans with clearly marked emergency exits and safe areas, designated primary and secondary escape routes, posted evacuation maps throughout the facility, and regular drills and training to ensure staff and patrons are familiar with the escape routes. Contact information and responsibilities under the EAP. You should have a list of emergency contacts, facility managers, security personnel, first responders, and defined chain of command for managing emergencies. Roles for staff members responsible for assisting in emergency procedures, and information on local area hospitals. So a list of nearby hospitals with name of the hospital, phone number, distance from the facility, for medical transport procedures for your injured individuals, and an emergency notification system. So a system to alert staff, patrons, local law enforcement, and medical services. You need multi-channel alerts, text messages, loudspeaker announcements, social media updates, and coordination with fire, police, and the EMS for rapid response. Some additional best practices, again, are conducting regular drills and training for staff and volunteers, and ensuring emergency equipment, your fire extinguishers, first aid kits, and AEDs are easily accessible and kept up to date. Checking the patches for the defibrillator to make sure that they are they haven't expired. And update the EEP regularly to reflect new risks or facility changes. A risk assessment matrix is a crucial tool for evaluating potential hazards in a sports facility. It helps facility managers prioritize risks based on their likelihood of occurrence and potential impact or the consequences. So if you look at this, the occurrence is looking at, is it something that is, as far as occurrence is concerned, it has remote possibility, it's very unlikely to happen. A 2 would be something that it is probable, it may happen occasionally. And 3 would be highly probable, that it's very likely to happen. Now, if we look at the consequences, minimal would mean that it has little to no impact, so there's very low risk. A 2 is equal to medium, and in this situation, some injuries or damage or minor disruption is expected. So a medium risk, a high risk would be something that is major, which would be rated a 3. This would be in the case of severe injury with significant damage or major disruption. And so how you use this assessment matrix is first identify the potential hazards. Is it a fire, a medical emergency, or crowd control issues? And then look at the likelihood of the hazard occurring. Is it remote, probable, or highly probable? And then evaluate the consequences. If a hazard occurs, is it minimal, medium, or major? And then determine the risk level using the matrix. And implement control measures to reduce the risk. And you can do that with your training, your safety protocols, and your emergency plans. This is an example of a risk assessment for a sports facility. You can see on the left-hand side, you have the hazard, what's happening, occurrence rating is how often it would occur, the consequence rating, the consequences associated with it, and then the risk level on the right-hand side. So you can see with a spectator slipping on wet floor, it is very probable that that is going to happen. Now, as far as the consequence rating, it is considered to be minimal or a low risk. Now, a lot of that might depend upon your flooring and that sort of thing. You have a player that has suffered a heat stroke. That is something that, especially in Corpus Christi on the soccer field, it's highly probable, and that that is a medium. That is, as far as consequence is concerned, it is a medium risk and a high risk associated with it. So loss of life. A fire in the facility is something that really it does not happen often. It's probably remote. As far as the consequence, that's a major consequence, and there is medium risk associated with it. And same for terrorist threat and structural collapse. Those all are remote as far as occurring frequently. And the consequence rating, those are major consequences with medium risks. Now, a stampede due to overcrowding, that's something that could happen, and the consequences would be major as well as the risk level being high. So in any situation where a threat is identified, it's crucial to perform a detailed and systematic assessment to evaluate its credibility and potential consequences. So these are the core components of a threat assessment. Number one, is the threat sincere? And here you have to determine if this individual or group making the threat truly intend to act on it, or is it just a verbal expression or an empty statement? We must evaluate the credibility of the source, their motives, and any past behavior that can give insight into their intentions. Can the threat be verified? Verification involves collecting evidence or collaborating information. Is there any tangible proof that confirms the threat or that suggests it could be real? This could include previous communications, plans, or patterns of behavior, such as we've identified some concerning messages here. There's also a pattern of hostility and aggressive behavior in previous interactions that we should consider. So verification helps ensure that we aren't reacting to baseless fears, but responding to a legitimate and verifiable threat. A critical factor in assessing a threat's validity is whether it's specific and or impending. Is there a clear, defined action, or are we dealing with vague language? A specific threat with details such as at 3 p.m. today, or a clear description of how harm might occur, is far more serious than a general statement like someday something will happen. This seems to be a threat with a specific location and time frame. We should take care of it, take it seriously. A threat that is not only clear but also imminent should trigger immediate action. How severe is the threat? Severity refers to both the scale of harm that could result and the potential consequences. Is the threat capable of causing significant damage, or is it a more minor concern? We also need to consider the likelihood of it materializing. If this threat is carried out, the impact could be catastrophic, both in terms of human safety and long-term disruption. A severity assessment guides us in prioritizing responses and allocating resources to protect those who may be at risk. A thorough threat assessment addresses the four key components of sincerity, verifiability, specificity, and severity. By evaluating each of these factors, we can ensure a proportionate and informed response. So based on this, we're moving forward with a heightened security protocol and informing the necessary authorities. We'll continue to monitor the situation closely. Effective threat assessment isn't just about identifying danger, it's about making well-informed decisions that prioritize safety and security. A vulnerability assessment evaluates how likely a target is to be attacked and the ability of the target to defend itself. It's crucial to understand both the weaknesses that may be exploited and the strengths that can be used for defense. So first, you have to identify the weaknesses. Through vulnerability assessment, we identify potential weaknesses or gaps in security, outdated software, unprotected entry points that could be exploited. Once these weaknesses are identified, we can prioritize them based on risk and potential impact and eliminate or mitigate weaknesses, whether through system updates or stronger defenses or staff training. The goal is to reduce the chances of a successful attack while strengthening the target's defenses. A criticality assessment identifies and evaluates key assets, infrastructure, and functions based on several factors. It helps determine which elements are essential to mission success or public safety. So factors of criticality are really looking at how essential it is to the overall operation of the mission or function involved. The location of the facility is another key factor, especially if it's near major governmental or financial centers. Proximity to these areas increases the importance. You also have to consider the number of people at risk. The more people affected, the higher the criticality. And some additional considerations: if dignitaries or high-profile individuals are present, it raises the importance of securing the location. And lastly, we assess the significance of the structure or system itself. How critical is it to the operation or security of the broader community? Research shows that event personnel, especially at sport facilities, often lack sufficient training. This gap can affect the success of events and the safety of attendees. It's crucial to provide significant training for event supervisory and lead staff. They play a key role in managing operations and ensuring everything runs smoothly. Well-trained leaders ensure that they can guide the team effectively and make quick decisions if issues arise. Now, as far as in many cases, full-time staff members will train and instruct part-time or temporary event staff. They must ensure that these team members are well prepared for their roles. Consistent and thorough training across the team ensures everyone is aligned with event goals and safety standards. It's crucial to maintain constant communication with emergency medical staff to ensure an immediate response when needed. Everyone needs to be on the same page for quick action. So EMS staff should be positioned in predetermined locations during events, equipped with all necessary supplies. This ensures that they can quickly respond to an emergency that might arise. We also need to ensure that EM staff and supplies are stationed both inside and outside the facility during an evacuation, especially since patrons may be exposed to harmful fumes. There's also discussing emergency plans near the exit routes. So in case of evacuation, emergency medical staff should be positioned near those exit routes to help patrons, especially if they're struggling. They'll be able to provide immediate assistance with necessary supplies. And we must practice the EM response with all staff and administration involved. Simulating real emergency scenarios helps ensure everyone knows their role and how to react. During drills, make sure the stretcher can bear a person's weight and is accessible even in difficult areas like steep seating sections. We need to ensure quick, efficient movement in all actions. It's also important to do periodic inspections of the facility with a local fire inspector. This will help identify fire-prone and hazardous areas that may need additional attention. So a team reviews the layout of the Fire Command Center and emergency systems. The facility should have a centralized fire command center or an electronic fire box. All staff should familiarize themselves with it in advance to ensure that pull stations, warnings, and emergency announcements are properly activated in case of a fire. It's critical that we all know the system inside and out so there's no confusion during an emergency. In the event of a fire, even if it seems under control, we need to contact the fire department immediately. They have the expertise and equipment to fully handle the situation. Now, in the case of a severe weather alert, a clear chain of authority identifies who has the authority to remove spectators, teams, and other personnel from the field in case of severe weather. So it's important to monitor weather forecasts and severe weather warnings regularly. This allows you to act quickly when necessary. We should maintain a list of designated safe areas where people can take shelter from dangerous weather conditions such as lightning, tornadoes, or heavy rain. And you need clear communication regarding the criteria for canceling, suspending, or resuming activities. Everyone must be informed in real time to avoid any confusion. And be ready to implement recommended safety strategies for different severe weather scenarios such as lightning, tornadoes, or torrential rain to ensure everyone's safety. In summary, while safety involves protecting people from accidents and natural events, security focuses on guarding against deliberate threats. Sport facility managers must understand their liabilities to ensure they meet legal and ethical responsibilities for both safety and security. And that is all that I have for you today. We will be going into part 2 of chapter 9, where we'll be talking more about the sport facility safety and security in terms of terrorism. I look forward to talking with you again. Have a great day.